silence. The big silence.
And we're here at the Big Silence podcast. My name is Bobby Goldstein, and this here is Karena Dawn.
I'm going to let you lead this intro.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that silence was just so powerful. I just had to come in here. What's cracking?
Oh, not much. Happy to have you here.
Oh, I can see it. I can feel that body language really is just saying, really into you.
Let me tell you a little something about Bobby this week.
What?
Why do you look so scared? Bobby was dirt biking, and he decided to go out on the trails behind our house the day after a tarantula downpour.
There was no.
Torrential?
You ever read that book where it rains meatballs?
No.
Yeah, well, it's fake, along with a tarantula rainstorm. Okay,
but you know what I'm saying.
Torrential.
Yes. I like tarantula because we're in Texas. Tarantulas are big.
You might like to say it, but you wouldn't like to experience it. Yeah.
So he goes out the morning after.
Excuse me.
Oh, somebody didn't put their phone on Do Not Disturb.
Sorry.
He goes out on the dirt bike trails behind our house, full of mud, slippery rocks, and then runs into a tree, comes in. He's like, "Will you give me a massage?" I said, "No."
Yes.
And then I booked you a massage. But then later that day, you, like a child, got into poison ivy.
Yeah.
So Bobby's been booted out of the house, covered in poison ivy.
Yeah, I got to say, I've been having a great night of sleep these past couple of days.
You and Tiki?
Yeah, it's been really fantastic. This poison ivy thing's not all so bad.
All right. So we as in me, just got done doing an interview with today's guest, the fitness marshal.
Sign me up.
Yeah, and he's from Indiana.
My goodness.
I know. So much in tune with each other. And he went to IU.
So did your dad.
No,
your dad went to Ball State.
Yeah, my dad went to Purdue.
Okay. One of the three. Not Notre Dame.
Well, no, there's a fourth, Ball State. My sister went to. So there's, in Indiana, there's Notre Dame, Ball State, IU, Purdue.
Yeah, I was saying one of the three. IU, Ball State,
anyways,
Purdue.
Before you guys click us off, let's talk about Caleb.
Action-packed intro.
But he's so much fun. And so I met him years ago at an event. And then my sister, Rachel, had sent me his videos during pandemic because she was doing his dance videos. Like, I love him because he makes fitness fun.
I've heard about that.
Tone it up.
I was going to say, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you guys should do a little collab. I feel like I say that a lot.
Yeah, I would love to.
My God. Working out with Caleb and Tone It Up Girls, that'd be awesome.
Breaking news here.
What?
He's going on tour in January 2023, and I'm going to make him come to Austin.
Really?
Yeah. So fitness marshal.
Whip us into shape.
While having fun. All right. I love this story. On the mental health side, he has suffered from ADHD for most of his life. And so we really dive deep into what that looks like, growing up with it, being diagnosed, and how he handles it in his fitness career and in life and relationship. So it was a really good conversation. Thank you, Caleb. And you're my new BFF. I say that after every podcast. I'm like, I have a new friend.
I know. Legitimately.
All right. Enjoy the ep.
Bye.
All right. Welcome to the podcast, Caleb Marshall, a.k.a. the Fitness Marshal.
Woo!
Woo! Best hype man ever. Okay. We just were talking before this, and we met. It had to have been like 5 years ago at an event in LA.
Yes.
So
yes,
we have met
sponsored by one of my favorite vodka companies.
I know. Okay.
I was telling you, I said, anywhere there's vodka, there's me. So of course.
We should have had shots before this.
I know. Although I am drinking coffee.
Okay.
So I got to start with coffee.
You're from Indiana.
Yes.
So am I.
Yes. No.
Yes.
What?
Yeah. So you're from Marion, Indiana. I was born in Peru, Indiana. Do you know?
Are you kidding me? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah.
What a small world.
Yeah. So then I was born in Peru, Indiana, and then I moved to Indianapolis, Indiana. And then when I was 18, I moved to LA.
Wait, when did you move to Indianapolis?
I was in like first grade, maybe.
Oh my God, that's crazy. My fiance is from Indianapolis.
Ah!
That's the big city. That's like we have to go to Best Buy. That's like we have to go out to like the nice theater. You're going to take an hour and a half drive to Indianapolis.
Oh yeah. Have
the
you been?
Circle Center Mall.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The fountain downtown, the Circle Center.
Oh yeah.
Have you been to Peru, Indiana?
I don't think so.
Most people haven't. Supposedly it's the circus capital of the world.
Huh. Maybe I have been. I went to so many circuses when I was a kid, so maybe I've been.
I mean, I grew up and we didn't have playgrounds, but we had train tracks and abandoned trains. So that was my playground. So next time you go back to Marion, head up to Peru.
You know what? I really don't go back to Marion anymore.
When did you move?
Like I have family that's there, but I'm like, come to Indianapolis. Just like come to me.
Yeah. So
but I moved to LA like 7 years ago.
Okay. And is that when well, first of all, so you're engaged?
I am.
Congrats. Yeah. Congrats.
Thank you. That was a long time coming.
When's the big wedding?
That's a great question. And originally we got engaged in July of 21. And we were gonna get married, within the year. And then we were like, oh, but wait, we really want a house. Like maybe we should pay for a down payment instead of a wedding right now. So we just kept putting it off. But right now, I think it's going to be in March. But we're just like really enjoying, we're just enjoying being engaged. We're enjoying having a new home like that. I think we're really just prioritizing our relationship and our happiness over kind of like everyone else's expectations of our wedding, which I'm really excited to share that with some people. But I really personally don't feel the need to have like a big extravaganza. Also, I'm like crazy shy when it comes to big events like that, like centered around me.
Yeah.
Like I love performing and being on stage, but like having a bunch of people come to my wedding for some reason gives me so much anxiety. But that's something for me to work on.
Yeah. Yeah. That goes back to your anxiety, which we'll get to. But I want to talk about your fitness first and your fitness journey. Do you know? So I remember meeting you at the Kettle One Botanicals event in LA. Yes. And then my sister, who is executive director for The Big Silence, she lives in Indianapolis. And she sent me your videos on YouTube like so long ago, maybe during the pandemic or something. And she was working out to you. And she's like, I love him. I do his workouts every day after work. And I was like,
that's amazing.
And I sent it to Katrina. I'm like, oh, I freaking love him. I think we've met him before. But yeah, so my sister brought you back into my scope. And she still does your workouts on YouTube. And
oh my God.
So thank you for motivating her.
Tell her I said hi.
Hi, Rachel. But yeah, so how did you get into fitness? Like when did that journey start and why?
Short answer is I never really wanted to get into fitness. I felt like it really wasn't for me, especially like when I was younger. My parents tried to kind of like force fitness classes onto me. And I was like, oh, this is awful.
Rebellion.
And I got to rebellion. Yeah. And so I got to college and I grew up kind of performing in like show choir and theater. And I was really missing being on stage. And so I started taking these dance fitness classes in college. And I just really fell in love with getting to like perform and express myself. And then I had this awakening where I was like, whoa, I thought all exercise had to like be really terrible and like suck, but I am having so much fun doing this thing. And so it really just became about me having a great time and performing and feeling like a superstar. And then I just so happened to get a great workout from that. And so I slowly became a teacher in college just for fun. And I was always ingrained with this idea that whatever you're doing for your job has to be like very serious, and whatever you're doing for fun, like clearly you can't make money from that. Clearly that just has to be a hobby. And I was graduating college, everyone was going off to do their big jobs, and I had this realization that like I hated what I went to school for. Like I didn't hate it, but I didn't necessarily want to be a video producer, which is what I went to school for. And I had this realization that like the only thing that makes me happy are these dance fitness classes. And so I was going through the worst time of my life mental health wise. I went through a terrible breakup. My senior year of college, I had a terrible time at the internship that I thought I was going to work at. And I said, okay, I'm just going to put all of my energy into the thing that I love most and see what happens. And so my senior year, I created a YouTube channel. I put all the dances that I was already doing at my college onto YouTube and I put camo pants on and called myself a fitness marshal, made a brand. And by the time I graduated, within 8 months, had 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I realized that this is what I meant to do. This is what brings me joy. And at that time, I was still making no money. But what it did for my mental health and just refocusing and taking me out of the absolute darkness to try to do something that brought not only me joy, but other people joy. I mean, it was just this whole awakening of this is my purpose.
I love that. And even kind of some similarities with Tone It Up, like Kat and I wanted to take fitness and make it fun again because I feel like everything was so serious, and you can be fit and laugh and mess up, and you do it perfectly. And so I love that. And also then for the mental health, I'm sure, so you have struggled, you've mentioned before in some interviews, with depression, anxiety. So do you think that kind of moving your body and then also giving back to other people, because your energy you give to your audience and those that are doing your workouts, does that help you?
I mean, it's been life-changing. I would say that it's, again, mental health is not something that you get over or that you just fix. It's something that I realize I'm going to live my whole life with some form of anxiety, with ADHD. And that's my cross to bear. I was just talking to my therapist about it yesterday, but what exercise is, and specifically dancing for me, is tools to help alleviate that stress. It makes this like 50-pound weight that I carry turn into a 15-pound weight sometimes. And I think it's all about the journey and not trying to, for me, expect this 30-minute dance class to fix me, but this 30-minute dance class to give me enough joy to get me through my day, to give me happy moments, happy interactions, good memories, endorphins. And I think it's all about that. And so, yeah, it's been revolutionary and a way to really help me get out of myself. And when I'm in this dark place, when thoughts are spinning, just taking a beat and going and dancing and remembering that life isn't that serious is really a great tool. It's like meditation. It's just another form. It's just another tool in your tool belt.
Yeah, I'd like to deep dive into ADHD as it applies to you, because that is one of the questions that I get a lot, is having an episode really talking about it, what it's like having it and living with it and what it feels like. And maybe even starting back when you were a little kid and not, because you got diagnosed with it when you were an adult. But what was it like?
You've done your research. Wow.
The interweb I know everything about you.
Oh gosh. I mean, I feel like the ADHD has been difficult for me just because we grew up in Indiana. My family was, they're wonderful, but they also were they were like the get over it. It's not real. You're doing fine type thing. And so I never thought that anything was actually like different about me. I knew something was different about me, but it wasn't something that my family really like dealt with or that I was given tools to cope with.
Why did you feel different?
I think the hardest thing for me was just the day-to-day being a human being, being a person. The executive function is what I struggle with so much. It feels like sometimes I'm just trapped in my brain and everyone else is like in on something that I am not. It's almost like I'm behind this glass wall. And it's things that come naturally to so many people, like tasks. Like when say you're organizing a room, this goes here. You do step 1, step 2, step 3. In my brain, all the steps are kind of like jumbled, and I have no idea how to prioritize it or how to do what where. And so sometimes it makes me feel like a phone that needs like a software update. I'm like, something's different about me and I'm not getting it. And it's really hard because it always made me feel really dumb. And it made me feel like I was less capable than. So I really leaned in when I was a child because I didn't know what it was. I leaned into my creativity. I leaned into my personality. I talked about this with my therapist. It was like, you were forced to develop your personality and your social skills in order to cope with the shortcomings that you had in day-to-day function, because I was able to get extra help. I was able to sweet talk the teachers. I was able to charm as my way of getting by with things that I probably shouldn't have gotten by with. And I just always grew up learning to adapt. I mean, that also goes with being gay as well. Like, I was just a chameleon. I was constantly figuring out how to survive in the environment that I was in. And I didn't realize that maybe everyone else wasn't trying so hard or having to develop all these skills to get by.
Yeah. So I have Emily over here. She's nodding her head. So Emily also, she's diagnosed with ADHD, and she's over there like, So okay. Then you were growing up in Indiana. Your parents were like, you're fine. It's Indiana. I get it, and it's back. What year was this?
Oh my gosh. I remember being in middle school. It was probably middle school, like 2007 is when I was in 7th or 8th grade. Cause that's when I remember Brittany was having a hard time. I remember that year very clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you just say Brittany was having a hard time?
Yeah. My memories in my brain are categorized by Britney Spears eras. I'm like, what was she doing during in the zone? Oh, I was in elementary school, middle school.
I love that. Wait, hold on. I need to bring up a Britney moment and see if you have a memory to it. I don't know much. Okay, when she shaved her head, where were you?
Oh gosh, I remember I was in my mom's living room and it was on the TV and no one understood. And also her album was like leaking at that time, her Blackout album. And all the kids at school were making fun of her. And I was like, these tracks are so good. You guys are sleeping on this new album. And they were, because it's her best album. Anyways.
I love this. I'm going to have Katrina listen to this. So Kat, the other part of Tone It Up, you two can just talk about Britney all day. All right. So you are growing up and, there's something different about you.
Yeah.
And nothing is, I want to preface this, like, ADHD has become your superpower, and, living with it, like everything that you can accomplish. But I want to go through that timeline of when you finally decided to see if you could get a diagnosis.
It was in college. I feel like college is the first time that I really felt like I could be myself without external factors or without trying to please, especially the people in my immediate family or in my hometown. It just was really a space for me to be free. And I was getting by in college. But again, it was just like, this is harder, I think, than it should be. And so I got my own doctor at that time because I was with my family's doctor for a long time. And I went and I filled out this questionnaire and they were like, oh, wow, like this, like you haven't been diagnosed before. And it's just funny because everyone around me, it was so clear. And so I remember that diagnosis was really liberating because I felt like just knowing that there was a reason why my brain worked the way it did was so powerful. And that was really the start of me taking charge of my mental health. And it had been a long journey since then. And that was really just step one, was accepting that, okay, this is what I have.
Was it a relief when you got a diagnosis?
Yeah, it was, because I mean, just knowing what to call something and not feeling like you are crazy or you're broken without explanation is so powerful. Because I didn't take the diagnosis and I was like, okay, well, I have ADHD, so I just like, my quality of life's just down here. I can't accomplish much. I was like, okay, now I know what's going on. How do I use it to my advantage? How do I make it my superpower? I've never been someone who's taken a burden or taken something they've been going through and let it drag me down. I mean, I will for a second, but I've always used whatever I'm going through to propel me. I think that is my superpower, is taking all that like dark energy and making something kind of bright and shiny out of it.
I love that perspective. And I think that's so important for people to hear, because we all go through so much, and we can either be the victim of something, or we can be the warrior of it.
Right. Rightfully so. Like, you cannot, I'm not saying that you aren't the victim and you aren't going through something terrible. It's just, you have two choices, and you can either choose to accept that mentality or try to fight it. And it's easier for some than others. My journey is my own, but I think it's so important whenever you can to try to not wallow in the idea of being a victim, because that ultimately will get you nowhere, because no one's going to come and save you.
Yeah. So do you currently take medication for ADHD, or what's your...
Right now I don't. Also, I'm very lucky because I am in a place where my fiance makes my schedule every day and I don't have to function kind of on my own in that sense. So I'm able to get by. I did for a little while and it was fine. I don't know if and that's a journey that I don't know if I took it correctly, because I wasn't monitored, I don't think, by a doctor or therapist. And so I think if I took that journey again, now that I'm in consistent therapy, I would be much more comfortable with it. I also tried medication for my anxiety. And it was one of those situations for me where I was just thrown medication with no follow-up. And they were like, okay, bye.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no one to help like monitor my journey or figure out, is this working? Is this not? And so I felt very alone. And I didn't feel supported. And I think that's the other problem with mental health, is that it's easier for people just to throw medication at you, which medication is wonderful, but like, you need support, you need therapy, you need monitoring, because it's all encompassing. It's 360.
Yeah. So then you got into therapy. How long have you been in therapy?
Yes. I got into therapy, I would say 4 years ago. I took a year off because I thought I was better.
That's okay though, because I've been in and out of therapy, but then you're like, sometimes you have a therapist, you're like, I'm in a good place, but then you're like, something happens and you're like, time to go back.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's not something that you have to like, do all the time. But my therapist quit. So
oh, shit, that sucks.
I was like, oh, okay. But during during the pandemic, I was going through a pretty hard time, and I found a therapist. And also I didn't realize what kind of therapist I needed. And so I found a gay therapist who grew up religious like I did, and was able to kind of help me navigate situations that were unique to me and my perspective. And it was so important. So I think, I'm a huge advocate of therapy. It's changed my life. I go every single week right now. That's a luxury that I know a lot of people don't have, but it is so important to help keep me grounded and on track.
It is a luxury. And the Big Silence, one of our missions and our goals is to make therapy available for everyone, as it should be. And so we just did a blog post last week, and have had conversations, because even text messages from friends or DMs, we get a lot of questions of, how do I find a therapist? We do have resources on the Big Silence, but how did you find your therapist?
Initially, I scanned my insurance's therapist list, and that was, I think, that was a form of hell. And I believe that was hell on earth. Going through this list of therapists, you call them because your insurance says they accept them, and then they're like, no, we're not taking insurance. It's awful. Just getting especially with anxiety, being able to finally make yourself dial the number, call this person, just to get rejected. It was awful. So for me, I went to psychologytoday.com, and I went through therapists, and I filtered by, I wanted a gay man. And so I was able to see all the gay male therapists in my area, and I ended up calling, and I was lucky. He, was accepting new patients. But the other thing is, it's really difficult to find therapists who take insurance. For me, I pay out of pocket, because it was really hard to find someone who takes insurance. And again, that's a huge luxury. And I would love to know resources, especially for friends who are like, I need a therapist, but how do I get one? Because for me, that's one of the barriers to entry. I almost didn't go to therapy because it was too hard to find someone.
Yeah, definitely. And I found one of my therapists that I went to probably back in 2016, 2017 through psychologytoday.com. And I loved when I called her, and I'd called many people, but you want to make sure you can vibe with your therapist and you feel comfortable opening up because you are telling them everything. You have to be so honest. And, sometimes I tell people, they're like, well, I don't want to go. I'm like, do you think I ever want to go to therapy? It's like, no. But once you leave, it's like we always say, you'll never regret a workout. You'll never regret a therapy session.
That is so true. I look forward to them now. They used to stress me out so much. And now I'm like, I need this.
Yeah.
Here's what I did wrong. Here are my evil, dark thoughts. How fix me. And it's really nice to be able to be so transparent with someone and just to have that trust because it's fine to tell friends things. It's fine to tell family. But the great thing about a therapist is they're this external, non-biased party that just wants to make you better and also has knowledge and tools and education that like friends and family don't. Because I think so many people say, well, that's my therapy is just my friends. And that can be a form of therapy, but really having someone who knows how the brain works, how negative thought patterns work is so powerful to help you getting out of the rut that you're in.
Yeah, definitely. And I think because I've been to several different therapists, and I like therapists that give you homework,
Yeah.
Like not just listen to me, but like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And you can work on something. Yeah.
I'm really into, my therapist specializes in cognitive behavioral therapy. So we work a lot on my thoughts, which lead to feelings, which lead to behaviors, which lead to thoughts. So it's like this big loop. And so we're kind of just working on stopping these negative thought patterns because the thing that I do that I'm really good at is catastrophizing. So if anything, if there's any possibility of anything going wrong, I go to the worst case scenario every single time.
I'm looking at Bobby.
Oh,
God. I am going to fail. I'm going to die. I'm going to literally whatever it is. I'm like, the worst thing could happen. That's what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And then when it doesn't, I'm like, well, I'm glad I spent my entire day worrying about that one thing.
Oh, therapy. So going back to, so with ADHD, and now you are...
Can you tell everything? I'm all over the place.
No, I have so many thoughts too. And I want to go back to that because now we'll go back to the superpower, like what you've created. And I think so many people with ADHD who possibly can't focus on, one project at one time, but what is your process for, you've created something amazing with the Fitness Marshal, your process for creating workout videos. Do you have a task list? How do you stay focused on your business?
I think in the beginning, especially with my ADHD, it's easy for me to hyper focus on things when I have to or when I need to. So in the beginning, it was so much like I was in such a bad place and I needed to focus on this thing. And it was really easy to hyper focus because of that. As I've gone on, that part has gotten much harder. I'm really good at doing things that are, new, exciting, keep my attention. So I like doing a new song every week, coming up with a new dance. It's always new. So that helped me build my YouTube channel, which was wonderful. But what I wasn't thinking about is everything else that comes with building a business, the staff, making money, responding to emails, event, like everything that comes with sustaining a business. And so I had to find people. And luckily my now fiance, when I met him, was really good at those things. And so I think it's important to know your skill set and what you're not skilled at, try to delegate. And that's really hard in the beginning. But I had friends who were able to kind of have different skill sets and pick up the slack in different areas. So for me, I really focus on what I'm good at, and that's making up dances. That is being the Fitness Marshal. That's bringing people joy through what I do. And a lot of the other stuff I delegate.
Yeah. I think delegation is so important no matter what, when you're doing something. I've learned that over the years. Yeah. I'm not good at this. Somebody who can do it better, please, step in.
And it's made me feel, and that's what I mean, literally I had therapy yesterday, and I was not, he said, "How you doing today?" And I said, "Well, I'd like to tell you I'm doing great, but I'm not." And it's because it's so hard not to feel so inadequate and so incapable when, again, I'm the CEO, I built this thing, but also at so many times I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing.
Why do you say you're inadequate and incapable?
I think that just having ADHD makes me feel, I, it makes me feel like I don't know what the next right step is, or I don't have the executive function to prioritize and organize. And when I am the face of something, it just makes me feel like I should know how to do more than I guess I'm doing. And I think I also build it up in my head, and I think everyone knows more than I do. When in reality, I think everyone's just winging it and figuring it out on the fly. It just, sometimes I think, since my brain works a little bit differently, I feel less capable. And so that is really difficult for me in this position.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you're inadequate. I think you're amazing.
Well, thanks. Thanks. No, and it's good. And again, like, my fiance is incredible at the scheduling and the organizing, and that is something that I need. And I think just accepting that that's his strength, my strength is something else, is really what to focus on.
So with your fiance, when you met him and you explained, I mean, I don't know if you told him you had ADHD and anxiety around that when you first met, but how do you work together? So say someone's listening and they have a partner with ADHD and their other partner is like, I just don't understand. How do you communicate that?
That was really hard for a long time, because I think realizing that it's not an excuse was the hardest thing for my fiance. It was, I think he thought that I was using my mental health as an excuse for not being able to do certain things, or for dropping the ball in certain areas. And so it took him a really long time to kind of understand who I was, and that I genuinely was. And if you know me, you know I am trying my best at all times. Like, I would never intentionally, drop the ball. And so I think as we grew together in our relationship, he just learned that there were certain things that I wasn't good at. Also, going to therapy was very important for the both of us. Once the both of us got into therapy separately, our relationship got so much better, because we were able to understand each other better.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think just open communication. I wasn't hiding it. If I was anxious, I would be like, "Hey, Cameron, I'm anxious today." Because for so long, I would just, if I had feelings, I would try to keep them in, because I didn't want to disturb anybody. I didn't want to inconvenience anyone. But then I would act out, and I would be irritable or jumpy or in my head, and he wouldn't know what was going on. And so days that I just started communicating and saying, "Hey, I'm super anxious today," he'd be like, "Oh, okay. Like, let me know how I can support you. Now I know how you're feeling today." And so I think just being open is the biggest way.
I think that's important too. So when you are saying, hey, sometimes I'll wake up and to Bobby, I'm like, I'm having anxiety this morning. But then the partner doesn't have to have a cure for you right then. Just be like, I'm just like, okay, if I can do anything, let me know. Or if I'm acting this way, it's because I'm having anxiety.
Yeah.
So did you?
Because then they don't think you're doing something they don't think it's like a personal attack against them. It's like, no, I'm not being a bitch because I'm mad at you. It's because I am so anxious I can't function.
Yeah. And so your fiance, you guys went to therapy separately. Have you gone together?
I think that's something that we're going to do. We haven't done it yet, but actually we've done a few sessions, like one-off with my therapist together, which was really cool and very helpful. But not yet.
Yeah. Okay. I'm switching back to your YouTube channel. Who are the ladies in your videos all the time?
They are my best friends from high school.
Oh my gosh. And so, so they also moved from Indiana to LA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we were all in show choir together, and Haley was in it first. The blonde girl. Well, I guess Allison's blonde sometimes too. And I would have her, because I went to IU in college and she went to Ball State. And so I would like come pick her up from Ball State, drive her to IU so she could shoot in videos with me. Or I would just like go to her, place for the weekend, and we'd come up with dances. And it was just this really fun thing. Like, like you're at a sleepover with your friends and you're just making up dances together. That's what I was doing in college. And they were there when the money was not there. They were there when I was like, hey, can you just come and show up and perform and be in this dance or do this live event with me? And it has been so cool to get to build this whole empire with the people that I grew up with, because none of us should have gone anywhere or done anything with our lives or had the things that we have now and the experiences that we have. It is so surreal, and it's so cool to be around people who understand that. It's like we're not jaded, we're very cautious about who we surround ourselves with. And so I think it's so much sweeter when you accomplish things that you're just like, whoa, this is crazy. We're just kids from Indiana.
Yeah. Kids from Indiana are the best. But yeah, I love that. Everybody that is in my circle as well that I've worked with since I was in my early 20s, like it's been like 18 years. I keep working with the same people, and it's so nice to see us go from one place to the next and achieve things together and celebrate together. I love that.
I'll tell you what, it's so cool to go on a journey like with people. I mean, especially when you're starting, it's the coolest thing because it feels like we're all experiencing this together, and it's so much sweeter. I also just love shared experiences. So I would much rather do whatever I'm doing with a bunch of people than try to just do it on my own and keep everything for myself, because then who's there to share that with? Like it's just not fun when you're the only one at the top of the mountain.
I 100% agree. It's lonely if you're the only one.
It's lonely.
So live events, do you have any live events coming up?
So I have been begging, Cameron to schedule a tour. So I mean, that's how we started, was doing live events all through like 2016 to 2020. And then after the pandemic, we just stopped doing any live performances. And that was awful, because that was what brought me joy. Just seeing the people in person, seeing them do the dances, seeing them smile, because it's really hard to dance to a camera. Like yesterday we hit 4 million subscribers on YouTube. And it was really like, that's an insane number of people, but nothing beats being in a room with 100 people and then just dancing along with you. And so we just did an event, a private event last week in Salt Lake City, and 1,100 people were there in the crowd dancing.
Yes.
And I was just like, wow, this is the best feeling. And it brought me so much joy. So 2023 tour is absolutely happening. You heard it here first.
Yes.
January.
Okay. All right. January. Are you coming to Austin?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If we go to Texas, I think, because we've never been to Austin before. Am I a liar?
No.
Am I a liar?
Are you overthinking?
I think we do Dallas and Houston usually when we go to Texas.
Gotta come to Austin.
But I feel like Austin makes the most sense. Like, yeah, we're going to come to Austin.
Okay.
Yes. But I have no authority. Like, I have no power in these decisions.
Yes, you do. You're the CEO.
And Cameron could come in here and be like, do you know we're not going to Austin?
I know. No. I always am like, yes, we'll do it. We'll do it. And then everyone's like, no.
And Cameron's like, okay, like, great, but have you looked at the numbers? What's the demographics? What's the revenue? What are the venues? And I'm like, well, I just want to do
it. Exactly. All right. So how many times per week, or how often do you upload to YouTube so everyone can go work out to your new videos?
It used to be once a week, every Tuesday. And then Caleb had a mental health moment that lasted the last 6 months. And I've just been a little bit slower. So it's been like once every 2 weeks or just kind of as needed. And now I'm just, we're shooting a video actually today that I'm really excited about, but usually on Tuesdays, but not every Tuesday. What we do is a live stream every single week on Wednesdays and sometimes Fridays. And that's for our Booty Army members. So if you're like a channel member on YouTube, you can subscribe and get like 30-minute and 60-minute live streams with us. And that brings me so much joy because it's us. There's no cuts. It's you working out with us live, almost like you're in a class with us. And that's when all of the genuine moments happen. We mess up, we laugh. I get package deliveries. My doctor's calling to refill my prescription. It's just like, it's chaos in the best way. And so that's what has really brought me joy since the pandemic.
Yeah. All right. We'll put that in the show notes too. And we all should join. What time is it on Wednesdays?
We do it at 3 p.m. Pacific.
Okay.
Yes. And sometimes we do 10 a.m. Pacific sessions.
I want to go back. You had a mental health moment. I just want to let everyone know I've had mental health moments. I had to cancel an event that I was going to that Jewel, the singer-songwriter, was doing, and I was like, I can't believe I'm canceling on Jewel.
Yeah.
But she texted me and she's like, I get it. She had a mental health moment too and had to cancel production for a week. And, she was like, you have to listen to what you need. And I think as a creator like yourself, it's hard because you put a lot of pressure on yourself, and especially when it's a weekly thing, and then there's like this guilt you carry. But I think it's really important to learn it's okay. It's okay.
It's so hard. You get the pressure. I put so much pressure on myself. I'm like, there's so many people counting on me. I'm like, this is my thing. This is my gift to the world. This is what I'm supposed to be able to just do. And it's really hard, especially when people look up to you and think that you've done all these incredible things and you're kind of their pillar of strength. And you are just human and you crumble and you break too. And it's really difficult to give yourself the grace, because we can say that online. We can be like, give yourself time, but do we like actually do it? It's really hard. And I think we need to give ourselves the same love and support that we tell the people who follow us to give themselves, because it's okay. And that's been really hard for me to accept.
Yeah, but that is so important, because we have to take care of ourselves first to keep being that person for everyone else. And in the beginning of our chat, I believe you said that something along the lines of mental health is an ongoing process.
Yeah.
It's something you have to. It's not like you go to therapy for a year and you're better. It's not like you get on some kind of meditation, medication, whatever it may be, and you're fine. It's consistent work. So I think it's really important that everyone knows it's a hard job, but it's
it's not supposed to be. It's kind of like, exercise is like, I found a way to make it fun, but it's just a part of your routine. Your mental health has to be a part of your routine. Even when, like the past 6 months, I had been going through a hard time. I wasn't sleeping well. I was just so anxious. And so I had to redo my routine. I had to, before bed, instead of scrolling on my phone, I had to start meditating. Did I want to do that instead of watching TikTok? Absolutely not. But I needed to. And so it's just it's prioritizing yourself and realizing that if you want to sustain this level of getting better, or this level of wellness, you have to keep putting in the work, even when you think, oh, like yesterday was a good day. Great. In order to make tomorrow a good day, you still have to do these things. And eventually, after you fall back down enough times, you realize that, okay, I'm in this for the long haul. And that's what happened to me. It was just years and years of thinking I could do quick fixes until I surrendered. And I was like, okay, this is what I have to carry. How do I manage it?
Yeah. Do you have a morning routine that you try to stick to?
I started working out in the mornings, just not even like doing my job of working out, just finding my own workout that I like. And I used to only work out later in the day. I don't know why, but now doing morning workouts really helps me get my day started. And when I stick to that, I find that I have a much better day, because I'm up, I'm ready, I'm started. I think also having, I try to drink water in the mornings. I also love getting up and having my morning coffee just to get my brain going. I think I have made a real conscious effort to not grab my phone and scroll the moment I wake up. And that is so hard. And it's not realistic, because I don't, like, some days I just will grab it. But I think just taking a moment to breathe in the morning, whether that's while you're making coffee, while you're taking your dogs outside, is so important, not to just wake up and do this. Because then you're immediately like, anxiety. What do I have to do today? What have I missed? And it's not a good way to start your day.
So what does the fitness marshal do for your personal workout? Are you dancing and singing? Are you...
For my personal workout, No, I really, what I found is I love to go to classes, because what I used to do is go to the gym and lift weights and like do my own thing. And I don't know why it took me so long to realize that someone that has ADHD, when you go to a gym and you are left to your own devices, your day is gone. Like your whole day is gone. And I would go to the gym and it'd take 3 hours. And I swear to you, I would do literally nothing. But I was like, yeah, I was at the gym for 3 hours today. And then it's like, you didn't do anything. So now I just go, I'll take like a little boot camp class, or I'll do like a strength class, and it'll be like 30 minutes, or I'll take an online fitness class, and that'll make me have a good time. But I really love to mix it up because I dance so much. So I like doing things that are not dancing related.
Yeah. No, I feel you. Sometimes I do tone it up workouts, or I do yoga, but then I also, to mix it up and motivate myself, because during the pandemic, I like stopped working out for a little bit. So I have a I have a trainer that helps motivate me. I always say trainers need trainers, and like therapists need therapists. It's
it's so important. I didn't realize how much I love that, because I didn't start getting or going to classes until 2021, until like once things opened back up. And then I was like, wow, I have so much more time in the day because someone else is in charge of my workout.
I love it. Well, Caleb, any final words to the audience here?
Just that you are loved, and whatever you're going through, you are not crazy. You are not the only one on your journey, and we are all dealing with stuff, and we're in this together. So,
all right.
Love you, and we got this.
Yeah. Thank you, Fitness Marshall.
The big silence. The big silence.